another one of John Donne's religious poems. This time we're going to look at Holy Sonnet 1, which is also known as Thou Hast Made Me. So let's have a look at the whole poem here. So, Thou hast made me, and shall thy work decay? Repair me now, for now mine end doth haste. I run to death, and death meets me as fast, and all my pleasures are like yesterday. I dare not move my dim eyes anyway. Despair behind and death before doth cast such terror, and my feebled flesh doth waste by sin in it, which it towards hell doth weigh. Only thou art above, and when towards thee by thy leave I can look, I rise again. But O subtle foe, so tempteth me, that not 1 hour I can myself sustain. Thy grace may wing me to prevent his art, and thou, like adamant, draw mine iron heart. Okay, so let's have a look at this poem. So let's look at the first quatrain. So we've got A, B, B, A, as we've had in all of Donne's poems that we've looked at so far, or at least most of all the sonnets. So thou hast made me, and shall thy work decay? So here we have the speaker of the poem, Donne himself, addressing God. We've got the use of an apostrophe. Thou hast made me. It's a statement, isn't it? Shall thy work decay? The rhetorical question sets up a kind of a challenge. Are you going to allow my body, your creation, to simply rot away? Are you going to do something for me now? It's quite a bold and arresting start, isn't it? Again, nothing strange about this poem. We've seen this kind of strident voice in a number of other Donne's poems. Repair me now, for now mine end doth haste. Look at that, another imperative. Repair me now, make me better, heal me up. For now mine end doth haste, because my death seems to be coming. It's coming soon. So there's this sense that the speaker is both strident, but is also rather fearful. They're worried about death. For now, the moment is now, mine end doth haste, it's coming soon. Notice that pause at the end of that line, the caesura. I run to death, and death meets me as fast. So why would you run to death if you fear it? Well, again, presumably it's that idea, isn't it, that the speaker also feels that they're going to be one of the elect, that they're going to have a good afterlife. They're going to be certain of some kind of spiritual renewal that is in the hands of the divine being. And death meets me as fast. Notice the personification there now. So I run to death, death being perhaps more general at the beginning of that line, and death meets me as fast. There, death becomes personified. So it's as if death there becomes slightly more sinister, and all my pleasures are like yesterday. So there we have that rather downbeat idea. All my pleasures are like yesterday. They're all in the past. They're nothing in the present. They're all sort of really gone. They're not going to be there anymore. And notice that we have the very emphatic caesura at the end. We've got a full stop there. So if you look, these are all end stopped lines. It does seem, doesn't it, as if the speaker is weighing up that kind of spiritual certainty that they're going to be saved, but also that sort of sense as, am I quite sure that I want this to be now? So we have this sort of sense, don't we, of perhaps the aging and crippled body heading towards death, versus that sense that actually, God, you could do something for me, you could repair me now. Why are you going to spoil your creation? It's God the artist. It's that kind of idea as well. Okay, so let's move it on. I dare not move my dim eyes anyway. So look at that. We've got some alliteration. I dare not, dim eyes. Your eyes would be dim, perhaps because it's dark. Perhaps the speaker kind of feels perhaps they don't know exactly where they're doing. They're kind of spiritually unenlightened. They're kind of lost, perhaps. Maybe that's why their eyes are dim. Or are their eyes dim because they're near the point of death? I dare not move. It's that sense of fear, though. Are they kind of paralyzed? So is that why their eyes are dim? Because they can only, they're hiding in a corner. I can't move. I don't want to be seen in case death sees me now. So it's all of those ideas. There does seem to be this fear of death. The end stop line, despair behind and death before doth cast such terror. So despair is behind and death is in front. So it's as if we have these two kind of personified abstract ideas. So despair is behind him, perhaps trying to catch up with him. And we know that despair is associated with the idea of suicide, losing your faith in God, your will to live, and death is in front. And it seems that both of them, behind and before, so behind me and in front of me, they are casting such terror. It's as if terror is the kind of shadow that's in front of them, and my feeble flesh doth waste by sin in it, which it towards hell doth weigh. So notice flesh is feeble. Feeble there, the adjective suggesting weakness, something that is not going to be able to stand up to such terrible strains upon it. And the flesh doth waste by sin in it. So it's as if the sin has corrupted the body again, which is an idea that we saw in the previous poem. And he feels that it's pushing him, weighing him down towards hell. So we have these very sort of negative ideas in this second quatrain of the poem. So again, the rhyme scheme A, B, B, A. So the both of those two quatrains set up this idea. If we just move back, so are you going to abandon me? Just let all of your work decay? Can't you do something? Death is coming to meet me. Then I'm really frightened. I don't know what to do. I think I'm going to go to hell. So this is the idea, isn't it, in this first octave of the poem. So we move on now to only thou art above. So there's that sense, isn't there, of God's presence. God is special. It's what makes the difference. Just going to pause for a second. So only thou art above. So it's only you. You're special. That's what makes the difference. And when towards thee, by thy leave I can look. Remember, there's that sense, isn't there, that we've seen in some of the other religious poems of the dangers of looking directly on God's face. So when towards thee, by thy leave I can look. So only when you allow me to look at you, I rise again. So again, there's that sense, isn't there, of being one of the elect, of being made special. When towards thee, by thy leave I can look, which presumably is only after his death, when he's been chosen to be one of the elect, he will rise again. He'll go upwards. Okay, so there's that idea. But, and then this seems to be a problem, but our old subtle foe so tempteth me. Our, notice that it's a collective plural pronoun. So our old subtle foe. So here Donne is grouping himself with God. It's our old subtle foe. It's your enemy. It's also my enemy. And notice how we have that adjective subtle. Something that is done in a subtle way is clever. It's concealed. So it's that reminder that Satan, the devil, tempts us in clever and cunning ways. So again, it's designed to suggest to the reader that, you know, this is something that is difficult to get out of. It so tempteth me. You know, it's something that I'm going to find it hard to withstand, even though I know that you are the one that's above me, that not 1 hour myself I can sustain. So I can't trust myself for even an hour, which implies, doesn't it, I'm going to need you who are special and above, because I can't do this on my own. So here we have, don't we, the next idea. So we have C, D, C, D. So this is the next quatrain here. It's the next idea. So it's only God that's going to make a difference. And then we have here the idea in the final couplet of mercy through the grace of God. And here we have, thy grace may wing me to prevent his art, and thou like adamant draw mine iron heart. So notice that reference to God's grace, isn't it? It's a positive ending. The focus is on God's grace. It's in God's gift. God is going to ride into the rescue. You may wing me. Notice there's not a certainty there. It's a modal verb, isn't it? Your grace may wing me to prevent his art. So it's not completely certain, but notice that reference to the verb wing. It suggests, doesn't it, angels rising above, being taken above to prevent his art. The art there belongs to the devil, to Satan. It's associated with artifice or falsity, something that is not natural, not true. Whereas God and thou are like adamant. So here we need to understand what adamant actually is. So adamant is apparently from the Hebrew shamir, and I'm sure there are many scholars who will probably correct me in all of this. So that is from the Bible in the Old Testament, Ezekiel chapter 3, verse 9. So in Greek, the word adamas means diamond. It's not the idea of a diamond here, something, you know, hard from flawless, that's really being referred to here, but it's the idea of something that's really hard and firm. Something like apparently corundum, or something like hard steel. So it's firmness in resisting temptations or enemies of the truth, and of hard-heartedness. But also notice here we've got like adamant, you draw mine iron heart. So here it's as if the adamant is attracting, there's some kind of force that's pulling the heart of the speaker, which is like iron, towards it. So here it suggests the idea of adamant as referring to something like a touchstone, lodestone, or a magnet, something that is, you know, a magnetic field that's drawing the iron heart, that's kind of resisting the grace of God. But it's literally, you know, drawing him away from the temptations of Satan towards the grace of God. So it's all to do with God here. So it's the faith. The speaker places their complete faith in the grace of God to actually sort him out, and to sort out his sins, and to get Satan out of the picture. And we might say that that's much more perhaps a Roman Catholic idea, much more, you know, God riding in, as it were, to the rescue, rather than that sort of free will that perhaps we might associate a bit more with the Protestant idea. So Donne's perhaps Roman Catholic background coming through in this poem. So thy grace may wing me to prevent his art, and thou like adamant draw mine iron heart. So the speaker does suggest still that their heart is resisting God's grace, but God will win out at the end. And if you're interested in the biblical ideas, as we see here from Ezekiel, from Zechariah, and from Jeremiah, so Donne obviously is drawing upon lots and lots of biblical ideas to do with this idea, but it's a nice rounding off of the poem. It ends, doesn't it, on a positive note, because God's grace, as I put in this little picture down here, is greater than the sin of the speaker, which is the important idea. So if we're thinking about why Donne keeps writing about these things, remember that we're not quite sure when all of these religious sonnets were written. It's certainly a period of change in terms of Donne's outlook. Certainly death has become much more significant in Donne's life. We know that Donne's wife dies in 1617. This poem is probably earlier than that, but don't forget, he would probably have seen some of his children die by this point, some of his friends die by this point. And again, as we know, he's not necessarily well in this particular period. So these considerations are ongoing. So we need to think about those things. These sort of ideas are very prevalent, and by 1624, as we know, he accepts the holy orders. He becomes vicar of St Dunstan's, and then he becomes Dean of St Paul's, which is what the King James I wanted him to do. So there's that progress, isn't there? So this is done, going through his religious phase, thinking about mortality, thinking about all of those things, and it's all very significant. Okay, good. Bye.